Arsenal won, Manchester United won 5-3 on penalties to Manchester United at the Emirates. I'm shocked, but funnily enough, I am not surprised. And I think a lot of people who have been watching this game are not surprised by what has transpired at the Emirates. And to be honest, this was a long time in the making. As for myself, I haven't made a video in a while. I missed the Ipswich game, the Brentford game, the Brighton game, and Newcastle. And the thing is that in the Premier League, I've given up, and I just thought I'd have a little bit of hope on what Arsenal could do in the domestic cup competitions, because let's be honest, I don't have any faith in the Prem nor the Champions League. And to see the way Arsenal have performed against Newcastle and against Manchester United, it's disgusting. I am absolutely just taken aback by what I've seen from Arsenal as of late. And you know what? This is on so many groups of people, so many individuals at Arsenal Football Club to why this has occurred. Thing is, you can lose. Losing isn't a bad thing, but the way you lose and how you perform, that is unacceptable. And that is what's happened in both the Newcastle game and at Manchester United, which games were at home. So there's no excuse about going away and tough crowds and this and that. And with the players, oh my God, I mean, Raya, I don't know why you couldn't save a single penalty. I mean, a lot of the penalties that Manchester United were scoring, if he had just stayed on his line and just waited a bit, then he might have been able to save one, but he kept diving way too early, and then it was easy for them to literally kick the ball on the other side of the net. Poor goalkeeping. The defense, Gabriel made a mistake, conceded the goal where on the transition to Bruno Fernandes, and let's be honest, the defense has fallen off a cliff. MLS hasn't played that well, but I don't think he was one of the players that needed to be taken off. But unfortunately, again, he's a scapegoat, and it's sad for the youngster. Timber has had a poor run of games over the last month or so, I'd say, because I've just not been impressed by him, and I just really want to see Ben White really come back into the team, because it's high time that Timber needs to be dropped. Other than that, from the midfield, it was uninspiring, lack of creativity. I thought Jorginho kept things ticking, but I wasn't expecting him to play the whole 100 minutes, 120 minutes or whatever, because he's a rather old player and he isn't somebody we should be relying on at this point. I mean, he's linked to some random team in Brazil, so that just tells you everything that you need to know. I mean, Mikel Moreno, again, non-existent, barely got on the ball. People are telling me he breaks up the play, but that's one facet of the game. What else do you do on the football field? Was he taking charge? Was he getting the ball and driving it forward? Was he taking shots at goal? Was he pinging passes left and right? Can someone please tell me what the hell Mikel Moreno is doing in the midfield at Arsenal? I don't know what was going on with him on the pitch, and he was non-existent. And it was a good thing that, I'm not sure, I think he might have been subbed off, but he was a passenger, and that's from the majority of his time at Arsenal right now. People are saying to give time. This is the thing that people need to understand. You give time to players who are young, who are new to the league, and who haven't played in the for Arsenal or in the English football at all. And Mikel Moreno has experience. He's 28 years old. He's played in the Premier League before. He's played in Spain. He's played in tough leagues. So at someone at that age with that experience, international player, you need to be hitting the ground running. And that is something that he hasn't been doing. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going to deem him as a flop. Martin Ødegaard, I mean, he looked better today than against Newcastle. Against Newcastle, he hid. He was a coward. And I'm going to call it out for what it is. He was a goddamn coward in that game. He hid. He was nowhere to be seen. But he cost the game today. The penalty he took in normal time was pathetic. I mean, god damn it. That goalkeeper Manchester United had Bayendale, whatever his name is. He was stinking up the gaff against Spurs. But somehow against Arsenal, he was saving left and right. And that's no excuse. Martin Ødegaard played a bit better, but eventually after that penalty he just zoned out of the game. He was non-existent. He didn't take charge. He didn't drive the ball forward. He wasn't taking the game to himself, and that's something that I really hate about certain players. And for me, after that penalty, he hid yet again. And then we look at our wonderful, fantastic, supreme attack, which unfortunately in this transfer window we don't need to get any more attackers, because our internal solutions will definitely solve them. And we look at it, I mean, Gabriel Jesus, hopefully he gets better. I heard it's an ACL, and that's very, very unfortunate. I don't know how many surgeries the brother's going to have, but he shouldn't be playing for Arsenal Football Club. It's as simple as that. Yes, he's had a good run of form for like a couple of games, but that's just not good enough over the last 2 to 3 years that he's been here. He needs to cut. Martinelli, I thought in the first half he looked okay. I think it was a good thing that he was making some runs, but even he was non-existent as well, and he wasn't really providing anything. I mean, he tried, but lack of it, nothing really, to be honest. Raheem Sterling, when he came on, he was the only player on the wing that was actually trying to take players on, and I was really angry because I thought that we could have put on Sterling in a lot of previous games, and we could see today that he was really trying, and I could really respect that. Even though he wasn't really getting much of anything, I could see that he was trying to take battles against Mazraoui and try and get forward, but it is what it is. What can you do? And then we come to the main man, Kai Havertz. 60 million down the drain. Yes, 60 million has indeed gone down the drain. I was trying to be very positive. I tried to be supportive of Kai Havertz. I tried to justify and figure out some ways on why Kai Havertz could come to Arsenal and should be at Arsenal, but let's just be honest. My gut instinct told me when we first signed Kai Havertz that this was going to be a flop, and for a long time now a lot of people have been straddling between him being good or him being a flop and just being down the middle. But you know what, if you have to be down the middle a long time, then he's probably a flop. And in this case, in this game, a lot of people are going to turn on Kai Havertz now. A lot of people are going to be fed up with him, and as for me, this is a game which is going to be the turning point. And the North London derbies on Wednesday, and maybe things can turn around, but in terms of what I've seen from Kai Havertz today, the finishing, the positioning, the sitters that he missed, I mean, Arsenal could have been 4 goals up. He could have got a hat-trick today, but he wasn't even able to score one chance. And if we had scored one chance, both him or Ødegaard, then Arsenal would have been through to the next round automatically. But this whole game was literally just there to be taken for Arsenal, and Arsenal threw it away themselves. And that is the most infuriating thing that I've seen from Arsenal. This is the worst I've seen Arsenal in a very, very, very long time, and that's why it's absolutely pathetic what I've had to witness today. A lot of people won't be able to realize or comprehend what actually happened on the football pitch, because it is that mind-blowing. Kai Havertz, put your head in the goddamn sand. This is the worst signing that Arsenal have ever made, because in that summer, Isaac was probably available. There were many other strikers available, especially probably when Jesus came into the club. I remember back then it was between Jesus and Isaac, and we chose Jesus, and look how that has turned out. And look at how we can now come on to Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta today as well was absolutely horrendous, tactics wise, same old, put on the wing, cross the ball, put on the wing, cross the ball, put on the wing, cross the ball. No patterns of play, no through balls, no getting the ball forward. There was nothing like that getting forward. And it was very infuriating to see Arteta and Ødegaard try and put their hands up and get the crowd going, but there's nothing that they've shown on that field over the last couple of games that will get the crowd going. You need to show something on the field for the crowd to be supporting you and making noise, because so far you guys ain't providing nothing at all for the crowd to even give you anything, because it goes both ways between fans and the players and the club ain't doing anything. And I'm just seeing so many excuses from the board, the manager saying that he's satisfied with the strikers he has, and that is absolute BS, and they know it themselves. And the funniest thing is that there's no excuses. What are you going to say? What? You had a red card, you had a penalty. The ref was on Arsenal's side today. I don't want to see any more complaints about referees and this and that and complaints. There were no complaints. It was a tough penalty, and I can understand why Harry Maguire was upset. The red card itself was a bit tough, I agree. And you know what? Arsenal had all the advantages today and they threw it. And that is why last couple of weeks I gave up, because I had no faith that Arsenal will do anything in the Premier League, which is why I will go back to Arteta now. 5 years down the line, this is the squad that he's made. We have Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus as the top strikers at Arsenal. Embarrassing. And imagine in the summer when these guys were trying to go for Benjamin Sesko, and they told Benjamin Sesko that Kai Havertz would be the main player and then they would be rotating, and then Sesko was like, no, I'm not coming. Now we can all clearly see why. Overall, another competition going down the drain, and I can also see a lot of Arsenal fans turning the tide on Mikel Arteta, and I think even for me this is the sign that this is probably the start of the end for Mikel Arteta, because it's been a long time coming. It's been a long time that Arsenal have been patient on building the team and getting the players in and building the tactics and creating that sort of dynamic between the manager and the players, but to get over the line, this isn't enough, and these sorts of performances are just not good enough. And with the amount of injuries that Arsenal have, and to go into a season and just say, oh no, next summer we're going to get something. What about this season? What about this January? What about the time there is now? Because with this way of going about things from Arsenal, it's always just going to be looking into the future rather than looking what there is right now. And I feel so sorry for a lot of people, because a lot of people paid money to go and watch this crap at the Emirates. And if this is the case and how the board operates, then you know what, don't even bother going to any of the games this season. Don't pay for anything, just wait till next season. And even then they'll probably say, yeah, we'll wait the next season. I mean, I don't know how these guys think and operate. If you want to be a competitive club in any sports, you try and do things for the here and now, but for some reason these guys just want to take people on a ride, and a lot of people are fed up, especially with the manager, with the promises that he said, with the crap that we're hearing in the press conferences, excuse after excuse, saying they're not going to do any business in the transfer window, saying that apparently we're lacking a striker. It's not just a striker, it's a left winger, it's a cam, it's a right winger, it's a midfielder, because Partey or Jorginho will go. And just before I forget, Thomas Partey, the booze that he was getting, I mean, God knows what's going to happen with that if there's more to it from Thomas Partey. I mean, my God, I mean, that's just something in itself. But like I said, this is dark times for Arsenal, and apparently we might just be on back to doing another rebuild. And this is why I look at the Kroenkes, because there are so many things they could have done. Okay, fine, you don't want to spend money every season, but you mean to tell me you couldn't get a good scouting network to find the best young talent, but the best talent you could get for cheap? You're telling me you couldn't find a director of football that could replace Edu and do a better job? You couldn't get a Campos, you couldn't get the guy from Bayer Leverkusen, you couldn't get the guy from Real Sociedad or something like that. You can't find a director of football that can challenge Arteta, because the thing is with Arteta, these are his signings, these are his tactics. A lot of people can say, oh, but the manager is not the one playing on the pitch and this and that. But yeah, but he's the one that brought in these players, and this is why people don't understand that. He's had his time. It's not like he just came into the job. It's been 5 years, and this is what he's built. He's done so many mistakes. He's backed the wrong horses, and now he has to pay for it. Kai Havertz was one, Reece Nelson was another, Rob Holding, Willian. He got rid of Emiliano Martinez and then backed Leno, then that didn't work, and then he had to bring in Ramsdale, then he didn't like him, and now he's doing Raya. And Raya's been looking okay, but come on, Raya and Emiliano Martinez is light and day. Martinez won a World Cup and God knows how many things he is, and he's worth over 100 million right now at Aston Villa. And these are just some of the things, of the mistakes that Mikel Arteta has done, and especially some of the tactics today. It's been absolutely cowardly, and the fact that Arsenal weren't able to score a goal after United went down 10 men, and the goal came up from a defender, shows how absolutely trash the attack is for Arsenal. Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus, Kai Havertz, all of those guys are non-existent crap, and it begs you to think what the hell Saka was doing when he was playing with these guys, because Bukayo Saka was saving these guys day in, day out. He was saving this manager day in and day out, and now that Saka is not in the team, it just shows you how this team actually is and how this manager actually is. The fact that one player being out has caused all of this turmoil and everyone to lose their heads, and to see the performances that we've been seeing is not acceptable. And with Kai Havertz, with the player that's on 280 grand a week, 280, he's one of the highest paid players. He is the highest paid player at the club, and the fact that Saka got injured and we can't even turn to Kai and say, you know what, you're the guy that's going to get us over the line. The fact that Arsenal fans can't even think about that sort of thing, can't even rely on Kai Havertz for that sort of thing. And the thing is, we all know who Kai Havertz is as a footballer, but that just gets you to think the stubbornness, stupidity, naivety and foolishness that this manager and this club that have decided to do with these stupid decisions, when there were so many other players out there, cheaper players out there, better players out there that could have fit your system. But for some reason, with the stubbornness of this manager and the stubbornness of this club and the way that they go about thinking that they know all and that they have a different mind to everyone else, but really at the end of the day, everyone's from planet Earth, everyone has a brain, everyone has the same sort of resources as the other person and the same sort of sense, and they could all see that this was never ever going to work out. And what can you expect from a manager who is absolutely a novice? So this is the beginning of the end. I think that with Mikel Arteta, I think at the end of this season or next season, he may need to step down or he may leave, because if he decides to stay on board, then he may be hounded out, similar to how Arsene Wenger is. But this is the thing, Arsene Wenger was done 10 times more than Mikel Arteta. Wenger won Premier Leagues, he won FA Cups, he done doubles, he was a goddamn invincible. And tell me what Mikel Arteta has done to even afford or get the luxury of being the manager of the club with no director of football, making all the decisions and this and that. It's pathetic. He's done nothing of the sort to get all of this sort of power. He has done nothing of the sort to be the second richest manager in the world. You know how much money he's on, right? He's on 15 million a year. And for what? He hasn't won a Prem, never won a Champions League. And that's the funniest thing. We are still in the Champions League and we still might be in the shot for the Premier League. But with these sort of performances, with this level of belief, with these players, do you really think that's going to happen? The way that the squad's being depleted every single game. Jorginho looked like he came off with a hamstring injury. We saw MLS with some issues. We saw Timber with some issues. We saw Calafiori apparently had some muscular issues. We have Saka over there. We have Jesus apparently has an ACL. I mean, for God's sake, what is going on? How is this manager not able to manage the team with the players and rotate efficiently? Honestly, we could go on for day and night just talking about the amount of issues that are in Arsenal Football Club, but the main thing is that needs to be known is that this is a process that has ultimately failed. It's failed. We need to give up. Give up on it. We can see what happens until the end of the season. You can give them until May to give some hope or to have some sort of expectations, but I've already known how the story ends because I've seen it time and time again, whether it was with Wenger, Emery, and now with Mikel Arteta. False promises led on a lie, led on stupidity and naivety and stubbornness, and look what it's got them. And I can't be sympathetic to that, because if you don't listen, then this is what's going to happen. But other than that, credit to Manchester United. Well played, Ruben Amorim. I told everyone this guy's a good manager, and lo and behold, he is. Let's see what happens against the North London derby. It could be even more turmoil for Arsenal, and I think that is going to be back to the horrific atmosphere at the Emirates. I hope it doesn't, but it certainly looks that way. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Kai Havertz, gotta go. 0 out of 10. I don't think I've seen a worse performance from Kai Havertz since Giroud against Monaco, and that was something else in itself. But like I said, end of the video. Let's see what happens next. Bye.